Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. So today we're going to look at some mistakes and things which people don't know related to numbers. Generally, this is one of the first things you learn, but don't study afterwards. And what I find is there are lots of maths functions and symbols which people know because they're universal, but don't know how to say, like these two. So we'll look at what they are, how to use them, and also some useful phrasal verbs or language along the way. And just one thing before we begin. The general rule for writing numbers is that you spell numbers 0 to 9, but then write them numerically when they are greater than 10. For this video, however, I'm basically going to spell most things because I want to focus on what you should say. So anyway, the mistake is up here. I got 8.5 in 10 on my test. So just pause the video and try to correct two things with this sentence. And well done. If you said I got 8.5 and then out of 10 on my test. So firstly, anytime we see a dot with a number, we don't say dot, always point. You might say she's 1.7 meters tall, or I'm a size 46.5. Although for that one, you could also say 46.5. Then we use out of to describe one part or fraction of a larger whole. So for example, I got 8.5 out of 10 on my test. We've won 3 out of the last 5 games, and 1 out of every 4 people are now obese. For that last one, however, you're talking about a proportion of people, so you can say in. 1 in 4 people are now obese, 1 in 10 cars sold are electric, and 1 in 20 people are vegetarian. Each of these are proportions you can say in, whereas your test score or the football matches aren't, you must say out of. So moving on, another way to say that test result would be this. I got 85% on my test. But then we also have the word percentage. The percentage of students getting A's has increased. Just pause the video and see if you can think when you use percent, when you use percentage. And well done if you said we use percent when you're talking about a specific number. I got 85% on my test. I earned 3% interest in my savings account, whereas percentage is when you're talking generally. The percentage of students getting A's has increased. What percentage of people do you think have a car? So moving on, I'm going to show you some more mistakes which I hear. Just pause the video and see if you can correct any of them. And well done for the first one if you said 2 plus 2 equals 4. This one's a funny one because obviously we all know this maths problem, but maybe don't know exactly how to say it. So we're going to look at each of these functions here. So the first one does mean to add. Children learn to add from a young age, or the noun addition, but generally we say plus, 2 plus 2. The opposite is to subtract or subtraction. But again, generally we say something different. Minus or maybe take away. 5 minus 3 equals 2. The next one is to multiply or multiplication, but generally we say times or maybe multiplied by if it's more technical. 5 times 5 equals 25. And finally, we have to divide or division, but we say divided by. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And finally, to say the results of the maths problem, you can use equals, like I have done, or just is, like Barney the dinosaur. So that being said, try saying this, which you might say in a restaurant, trying to work out the bill between friends. And well done. If you said the bill is $70 plus a $10 tip divided by 4 of us is or equals $20 each. I would probably say is there. So moving on. This one I hear a lot because in other languages they say age differently using the verb have. In English, always make sure you use verb be. Am, is, are. So, my sister is 10. And then you can say 10 years old or just the number 10, but you can't say 10 years. Again, be careful because you might do that in your language, so then automatically do it in English. Although you learn to say 10 years old, most native speakers just say the number for people. My sister is 10. Just be careful because that's only for people. You wouldn't say my phone is 2, my phone is 2 years old, the Eiffel Tower is 130 years old. And while we're here, a nice bit of language is turn plus the age to mean become that age or basically say you had a birthday. For example, I turned 36 this year, or my brother is turning 50 next month. Nice one. So moving on, with time, you can't say 9.5. If you want to say it that way, always 9:30, or 9:15, or 9:45. But what I always tell my students is there are 2 ways to say the time, and the easier and more natural way is just to say the first number, then the second number. 9:30, 9:15, 9:45. Honestly, I would just do this. Just be careful because although we write the 24-hour clock, we never say it. So always 9:30, not 21:30. And just one little thing, which often sounds unnatural, if it's obvious when you're talking about, you don't need to say AM, PM. For example, if I said I have breakfast at 8 a.m., it's correct, but it does sound a bit strange. We know breakfast is in the morning, so just say I have breakfast at 8. Much more natural. So moving on, with temperature, make sure you know how to say this symbol. It's degrees centigrade, or degrees Celsius, or just degrees C. Really though, we're only using this in a formal or scientific context. For example, water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. Most of the time, just say degrees. It's 35 degrees today. And if you're in the US, it's the same concept. Degrees Fahrenheit, if it's formal or scientific, everyday language, just say degrees. It's 95 degrees today. If it's negative, it's slightly different. Generally, people just say minus plus the number, although you can say degrees. For example, it's going to be -5 tomorrow. And to talk about that generally, you can use the phrase below 0. Does it ever go below 0 in your country? And while we're here, a couple of phrasal verbs to talk about temperature: get up to or get down to say the maximum or minimum temperature. For example, it gets down to 10 degrees in my city. It will get up to 40 degrees this weekend. So let's now look at some mistakes with numbers themselves. This one I hear a lot. Well done if you said 2 million people live in my city. A million, but also hundred, thousand, billion, etc., don't take an S if they're plural. So, 2 million people live in my city. My car costs $5,000. 300 people go to my school, and there are 8 billion people on Earth. However, that's only for specific exact numbers. If you're using it in a non-exact, general way, usually to emphasize a lot, it does have an S. For example, hundreds of people watch this channel, hopefully in the future thousands, then millions. Thousands of people come to this music festival every year. Millions of people play football, and the government has wasted billions of dollars. In those contexts, you need an S. So finally, the last mistake people make is using the word and incorrectly. First thing to say is, it is optional, although it does sound better, but only if you use it after the word hundred. So in the example, just 4,300. But then with this number, there are a few ways to say it. 350, 350, but the one that sounds most natural is 350. So that applies to numbers from 101 to 999, but also when you're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions. So final thing today, try saying this large number using the word and each time after 100. And well done if you said 452 million, 783,291. So anyway, explanation over. Hopefully there was something you knew but didn't know the exact way to say. Do take a moment just to review it, make sure you can remember each one. If you do that, you're going to sound much more natural with numbers. Anyway, there's no practice and improve today, just a few questions about your city. Firstly, how many people live in your city? What temperature does it get up and get down to? And how old is the most famous monument? So write your answers in the comments, guys, and write them as you would say them to practice the language. Anyway, that's it for today. As ever, make sure to like, subscribe, share the video with friends, and hopefully make this channel available to millions of people. Would mean a lot. Other than that, I'll see you for another video in the next couple of days. Until next time, see ya.